Okay, then I will I will tell you when you will be presenting instead of not when I've decided. Alright, so
What if that random person isn't available then? Like for that thing?
well, then we continue.
No, I mean like, for example, like I'm number 25. Can I be randomly assigned, let's say, instead of like?
Yeah, so if you're unavailable, then I'll continue on to the next person.
Okay.
Yes.
I'm sorry. Also, like, can you please tell me like how the answer should have looked like for the previous quiz, like to get like 3 points? Because like I got like 2 points, and I thought like I wrote like sufficient amount of.
Sometimes the information is incorrect, some parts of the information. Then I deduct. Okay, so we are entering this new novel today, which is long, but it's also there's obviously a huge event, but the pleasure of the book actually comes from these little discussions between characters, which is very different in style than The Stranger, where there is, of course, a huge event, but the event is not given as a kind of anything so dramatic. It's something that contingently happens, and then we're dealing with the consequences. And really, the chunk of kind of philosophical ideas come from the main character's own thinking in prison, right? Up to that point, it's this strange social space where people seem to be connecting, but they're not really connecting, and yet Meursault is at the orientation point around which all these people kind of circulate. It's a very unusual kind of narrative. And we have, in this case, a kind of a reversal of that. We have an obvious event that defines the entire narrative, and you can't forget that. The event follows us throughout. Then there are, a continuous kind of conversations, a series of conversations that overlap sometimes, or that never meet back. But lots of scenes, little scenes that have their own significance. So I guess the job for us is to understand each of these scenes for what it is on its own, because each scene is really packed with philosophical significance, but also to understand all of them in the larger context of the plague. So some of you probably know this, but during the pandemic, this suddenly became a bestseller. So people had to start printing this book because the demand was, suddenly there was a demand. But that's another thing, kind of whether you can relate to this at all, because you lived through the pandemic. But I don't know if you can really relate to this. That would, whether, if you cannot, which I tend to think you cannot, then it'll give us a certain sense of how culturally we have evolved, not in the sense of progressing for the better, for the better necessarily, but evolving in the sense of really this continuous kind of development, which can be for the good or for the better or for the worse. So that's a kind of a challenge to us beyond the text, beyond the reading of the immediate text, how to situate our civilization in relation to this. I mean, yes, it's still a modern civilization, we are in the same epoch, but nevertheless, culturally, we have come a pretty long distance from this moment. Okay, so before I say too much, I just want to make sure that you got all the characters in in your mind so that when the presenter comes up here, you can follow without getting too confused. Okay, so call out the characters that you remember besides Hong and Jack.
Quarter.
Yeah, yeah. You can pronounce this name anywhere you want. You know, the English way, French way, whatever you want. I go back and forth as well. So it's a Kota, yeah. Who is
Quarter is
Yeah.
the guy who almost committed suicide.
right, yeah,
And the Grant is the guy who found him and saved his life.
yeah. His neighbor, yeah. Grand. So we have Grand, Kota. We have these two, and who else? Ryu, right? He's obviously the main character.
How do you pronounce it again? Because I don't know how to
Yeah,
pronounce it.
you can just say it, just I don't know, just
Bruce?
read it the way it's. No, you don't pronounce the X.
Yeah, but I'm not French,
yeah.
so.
Yeah. Okay, so he's a doctor. He's at the center of all these main characters. The main characters all got kind of gather around him, and things get done. Okay, who else? Yeah, Father Panulu. He is not very active in the first part yet, but he's going to become important in the next two, three parts. He's a Jesuit Catholic father. So you're going to hear his sermon. He's going to give 2 sermons, and that's the highlight of this character. Okay, who else?
The concierge.
Yes.
Mr. Michel.
Yeah, right. Michelle, who you probably he died. In the first few pages, he dies. So yeah, and
Richard and Doctor.
right, the other doctors. Richard is more of a kind of a bureaucratically important. So he's a doctor, but he's not a he's part of the force that doesn't really want to pronounce the plague, right? Because once you say it's a plague, then everybody gets scandalized and they panic. So they're trying to manage the public discourse, and Richard, he is a doctor who is in that kind of cautionary kind of force, part of that force, which Hugh does not share, right? He's on the other side. He wants to say it like it is. Okay, and the other doctor you mentioned?
Castelli.
Right,
Also, yeah.
Castel, he is also, he doesn't come to the foreground of the story, but he will be important later on because he continues with the work of developing some kind of a serum to help patients against the effects of the plague. Okay, what about some unnamed characters?
The magistrate. The magistrate.
Okay, magistrate, yeah.
Prefecture.
Huh?
Prefect.
Prefect, yeah.
The wife of Michel.
The nurse.
Nurse, I don't remember.
There's kind of like the woman that was there to help the wife when she like went to sanitary.
Yeah. Oh, Ryu's mother appears.
Yeah.
She comes after the wife leaves, and then Michelle's the concierge's wife, I guess, she appears. But more striking characters who do not have names. There are a couple of very striking characters who have these weird habits.
I think the guy that is chronically ill and he just like tossed the peas around.
Yes, yeah. He is asthmatic, so it's not really like a serious. He can be serious though. But in any case, he doesn't go out. He stays home and he counts peas, right? Yeah, dried peas. He just moves one by one, and that's how he knows. He doesn't need a clock. He knows time by doing that. Yeah.
Also the man who's played some cats.
Yes, that character is very intriguing. he comes out to his balcony and he lures cats from, the street cats, and then he starts spitting at them. So these characters, especially these two guys, the older guys, the spitting man and the counting man, they will be important because they will return. Unlike these ladies, the mother is important. Mother is always important. And Kanu mother is always important. So the mother you have to remember, but I think in terms of the philosophy of the text, these gentlemen who have strange habits, they will prove to be meaningful for the text. Okay? Right, magistrate was open. Yeah, I think that's all there is. Okay, great. Then I will turn it over to the presenter.
Hello everyone, my name is Choi Yun-so, and today I will present my reading of part 1 of Albert Camus's The Flag. And I chose my topic as the city of Oran and the meaning of disruption. I personally think the part 1 of this novel is not only about the first signs of disease, but also about how the city of Oran is introduced and portrayed before the plague strikes. So when I first read the opening pages, I found the descriptions of the city a bit abstract and difficult to grasp. And I even thought that Camus might be spending too much time on details that seemed irrelevant. But as I read further, I realized that these descriptions are deliberate and essential for this novel to understand. They set the stage to understand both the plague and the city's life that the plague disrupts. Therefore, in this presentation, I will focus on two main ideas: the depiction of Oran as a lifeless, ordinary city, and the sudden announcement of the plague and the fragility it reveals in everyday life. Additionally, I will discuss how Camus uses minor characters, their relationships, and small narrative devices like dead rats and unexplained illness to foreshadow the coming crisis. And I will also share my personal interpretations and impressions along the way. So please look at the key idea 1. As you read, from the very beginning, the narrator describes Oran as Oran is indeed a quite ordinary town, a thoroughly negative place in short. And it gives a lot of details about the city, like the weather there, people living there, and their daily lives and routines. And I wondered why Camus would begin a story about a plague with such a dry, factual description. But as I read further, I began to understand that the ordinary nature of Oran is crucial to the novel. The city's monotony and predictability reflect the spiritual emptiness of modern life, I think. And people live by habit, business, and routine without pausing to reflect on beauty, meaning, or human connection. I noticed that even the streets, buildings, and offices are described in neutral and almost bureaucratic tones. And at first, this made me feel detached from the city, but then I realized that Camus wants us to feel this detachment. The dualness mirrors how people in Oran are already disconnected from deeper aspects of life. And in my personal point of view, the city's lifelessness foreshadows the plague's role as a force that disrupts both routine and spiritual complacencies of people living there. So here comes my first question. Why does the novel begin with such a detailed description of Oran? What might the city's characteristic represent? And I believe Camus wants the city to stand for modern life in general, not just one Algerian town. Its ordinariness and monotony suggest that people are living mechanically without reflection or passion. Therefore, the plague is not only a biological disease, but it exposes the emptiness already present in our daily lives. The city is dry, dull, and predictable, and this makes the disruption caused by the plague feel both shocking and inevitable. So this part made me reflect on how routine can hide fragility. It also made me think sometimes disaster does not arrive externally, but it reveals what is already weak inside our lives. In addition to the city, Part 1 introduces several key characters whose actions and observations add layers to the story. So, Dr. Liu, who narrates the story, appeals calm and observant. So I felt that his careful attention to small signs like the dead rats, unusual fevers, and unexplained deaths is significant. It reflects both his role as a doctor and the human need to notice, confront, and respond to danger rather than ignoring it. And other characters like Taro and Rembert show different ways people approach life and crisis. So Taro is reflective and concerned with moral responsibility, while Rembert initially focuses on his own personal desires, especially the wish to leave the city. So watching these early interactions made me think about human nature. So even in ordinary life, people have diverse reactions to uncertainty, and these differences are highlighted when a crisis emerges. And also, I believe the minor events like rats dying mysteriously, whispers of illness, and subtle changes in the city serve as narrative devices that slowly build tension. I personally found these details effective because they mirror how real crises often begin quietly, unnoticed, and then suddenly escalate. These small signs not only foreshadow the plague, but also emphasize how human denial and routine can blind us to danger. Actually, some characters in this novel regard such signs just as someone's frank or meaningless things. And at the last part of Part 1 comes when the authorities finally announced a pestilence had broken out, the town was to be closed. This moment is striking for its brevity but enormous in effect. In just one sentence, the everyday stability of Oran collapses. Streets are emptied, commerce starts, and normal life is interrupted. So I felt this sentence represents more than a medical announcement, but it reveals the fragility of ordinary existence. So my second question is, how does the sudden emergence of the plague challenge the picture of ordinary life? To me, the plague exposes that what seems subtle, such as routine, work, social norms, was always temporary. So Camus shows that human beings cling to predictability, but it is really fragile. The announcement of the town's closure forces the people of Oran and us as readers to confront the uncomfortable truth that life can change drastically at any moment. And personally, this made me think about my own life, how much of our security is an illusion, and how often do we go through routines without realizing how dependent we are on them. So combining these two ideas, I will show my own interpretive argument that Camus uses. Part 1 not merely to describe the plague, but to reveal the hidden emptiness of ordinary life. So Oran, with its dryness, monotony, and predictability, symbolizes modern cities where spiritual and emotional life is neglected. The plague then acts as a magnifying glass, which shows that what was already broken, like human routines, mechanical habits, and social complacency. And I also feel that Camus is exploring human relationships very subtly. The way characters observe each other, react differently, or cling to personal priorities shows that the varied responses humans have to crisis. And small events like the dead rats serve as early warnings, which makes readers reflect on both human denial and the inevitability of disruption. Therefore, the plague is not only a biological threat, but a philosophical one, and it asks us to reconsider how we live, notice what we ignore, and face the fragility of our existence. So, in my point of view, the central question Camus raises is the plague itself the greatest danger, or is it the mechanical, unreflective way people believe that although life should feel empty before any external threat arrived. And reading part 1 made me feel that sometimes the disruption of life, even painful, can reveal truths that routines hide. So to conclude, I propose 2 discussion questions related to my interpretations. The first one is Camus criticizing modern city life by making Oran dull, or is it just to heighten the effect of the play? How would the story change if Oran were lively? And the second question is, does the town's closure only mean loss and suffering, or could it also open space for people to rethink their lives? I made these 2 questions because while I interpreted Camus's choices of setting and description as deliberate ways to highlight the emptiness and fragility of modern life, I wanted to imagine how the story might function if these choices were different. And by thinking about alternative settings or deceptions, I think we can more clearly understand the role that Camus's original choices play in shaping meaning, tension, and reflection in the narrative. Thank you.
Yeah, questions, comments, or answers to the questions that the presenter gave us. There is discussion questions, but also there are a couple other questions that, I mean, you answered them, but yeah. Maybe I will start and then people can follow. So what can you explain more under question 1? You have the second comment. The dryness of the city suggests the form of hidden sickness even before the plague arrives. What does that mean?
I thought the author tries to depict the city as very normal city, but there is hidden darkness that people just cling to their routines and they don't try to find some real essential meaning for their life.
Oh, that's what you mean by dryness.
Yes.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant the climate. Okay, sorry. Okay, I misunderstood. Okay. I thought you knew something scientific that I just didn't know. Okay.
To answer question number 1, I don't think that this is a direct answer, but not only just about the dullness of the entire city, but we kind of emphasize how the people live and love and died there. So the death of the concierge, I thought that kind of represents the normality and the modernity dies in that city. So his death is somehow the cornerstone of the stage of rethinking of this city.
When I started reading the book and I read the description of the city, I wanted to see it, like the actual city, so I googled it and I looked at the pictures, and it didn't really look like the description of the book, but I was just thinking that I had a feeling, of a really nagging feeling when I was reading the whole part 1, especially when I was reading the description, because he mentioned that if a sick person is sick in the city of Oran, he's gonna be alone and just die. So I feel like he was kind of preparing us for the plot, because you start with the nagging feeling and it's getting worse and worse and worse by reading it. So I think that it's just not the preparation for what the book has, but more of the setting the mood for the book.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I thought about it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you. Yeah.
I have a question about the key idea 1. You said that you felt like the original city is kind of dead and it's very dry. But there's this, I don't really remember his name, but the man who committed suicide and his neighbor.
He attempted, but he doesn't die. Yeah.
Who who attempted to commit suicide and his neighbor. I don't really remember
Yeah.
the both things, but they seem to be really friendly to each other. And there's this scene where he says neighbors are meant to like help each other. They seem to be very friendly. And do you think it's part of Camus' intention to like purposely depict the neighbor as very friendly beings? The city looks very good.
I personally think that ironically shows that event. It is obviously a bad event, but it can make some other kind of positive effect. Before the event that he tried to kill himself, they wasn't that close, but because of the event, they ironically became close, and the man who tried to kill himself changed a lot. He even changed his political thoughts according to the novel and tried very friendly to his neighbors. So I think the novel tries to say it in very overally. The bad event can sometimes bring about positive effects. I think it shows the kind of.
Can I also ask a question? So after the plotter tried to commit suicide, he started going outside more and talking to people and giving, I don't know, money to her sister and stuff. And I was just wondering, he also mentioned that about a woman, he said she would testify that I go outside.
Yeah.
And I was just very confused about that moment. Why would he go outside and give money to people and be nice? And why would he want other people to testify that he goes out? And I just want to ask for your perception of this. Like, how do you view this? Why does he do it?
So are you asking about why?
Yeah, just the reason behind it, because I couldn't personally interpret it. I couldn't find the reason for that, but maybe you did.
My thought is not obvious as well, but I think as he was almost dead, he felt a lot of things and he became grateful for all the things he had, and he realized that I have to be friendly to my neighbors, people around me, something like that.
Well, I mean, there's this odd moment where the biggest hint at something else going on is what? How do you know that something fishy is going on here?
I think at one part, like some other people were talking about murder in the city, and then the character Goddard was also there, and he got anxious
Yes.
and he looked away. And another
Yes.
point is that when he asked the main character Ryu that if I become your patient, can the police go and take me? So I'm pretty
Yes.
sure he committed some
kind
sort of crime or something
Exactly.
like that.
Yes. I think the book gives us enough kind of hints that he's running away from the law. And when the police has to, come to interview him for the suicide attempt, he's very nervous about this. He doesn't want to see the police, and all that is kind of there. Yeah.
Yeah, like when they're like, oh, we have to report that you have this suicide. He's like so frazzled, but not like, I just like he doesn't feel like embarrassed that he commits suicide. Like he doesn't have to feel ashamed. He's more like afraid or like avoidant of something rather than having the shame. And I thought that was interesting, and also like I wanted to ask because they also go in lots of detail in the early part about like the procedure to have glands to boil on the lymph node, and like about the specifics of what could potentially be the cause of disease, as well as the like how the rats died. Like they're all like have blood from the mouth. Do you think that also has significance in like portrayal of the setting, or do you think that it's just a different type of foreshadowing for like later on?
Sounds like a difficult question, but you wanna try? Yeah.
I just think it's kind of foreshadowing.
really significant one.
Okay, yeah. I mean, you mentioned about Humbert that he has his personal situation. What do you mean by that? You said that while you were describing the idea of number 2.
Personal situation.
This guy. Yeah.
I thought just these two characters show very the other part of one.
You don't remember what you mentioned? You said that he has some kind of personal situation, so he changes his attitude, something to that effect. You mentioned. Okay, so you don't remember that. It's fine. Okay. So, but I wonder, does the description, I mean, I say a great deal about this in the pre-recorded lecture, as you will find out, but does it really feel, yes, I understand what you mean, like the narrator gives this portrayal of the city in a way that doesn't sound very good. But if you actually objectively look at the descriptions, does the city feel all that different from ours? Yeah.
I think the way that he describes the city is very similar to other cities. People are having habits, they have works to do, they're always going on with their lives. I think they're very productive actually. But like,
Okay.
yeah, they are very productive and they know what to do every day.
Yeah.
So it's not like they sit around all day doing nothing, but like the way he describes is really interesting because he always says that it's boring, the city is ugly, and like the temperature is not nice and stuff. So I think he's just trying to emphasize the fact that people are being trapped in a routine, people are trapped in a like vicious cycle that they cannot escape. Because if he described Oran to be like lively and very interesting, that would not be able to show how the plague has a tremendous effect on the city itself. So I think this probably just his emphasis on the city.
Okay. I mean, I'll come to you, but I like that you used the, I mean, sorry I laughed when you said productive. I don't know, I mean, is that, one can be productive in many different ways, and being productive one can become ignorant about how what it means to enjoy, right? I mean, this is what in our contemporary civilization we always go back and forth, like, you know, people feel that they have to go to the gym all the time and, you know, eat healthy, and they're just, in a way that's very productive in the sense that they're keeping up a certain kind of lifestyle. But when you chase after a lifestyle, whether you get life, that's a different story. Because lifestyle and life are not the same. So, I mean, I say this because not to disagree with you per se, but it's to this idea that Camus is doing this just for the effect is a little bit reductive. This is what. So, in other words, there is a kind of philosophical gesture there. He wants to say something about this, productive. Of course, we like the word today, but the word is the attitude itself is as long as modernity. Modernity is all about utilitarian, approach to life. So utilitarianism really means at the level of the individual, it's to be productive. So we have all this, I don't know, we have gadgets and we have now even AI and all that. It's all for productivity. People can be more productive than ever because machines do things for us, but philosophically speaking, many of these philosophers that are still very influential in our cultural discourse, including Camus, they would be very suspicious of this. So it's not to disagree with, if you think that AI is the greatest thing ever, that's fine. But in a way, if we were to pay attention to what these, bygone philosophers thought, in a way we need to kind of disengage ourselves a little bit, at least a little bit, from our usual ideas about life. So, okay, productivity is great, but let's not reduce this kind of gesture as just a literary effect. There is actually something that he wants to say. That's all. Does that make sense? Yeah. Okay. Yes.
I think it really depends on how we see the city, because since it's the same author, maybe we can compare it with like the book we read just before. The description of the city in the outside of the book is completely different.
Algiers, yeah.
I think the city is more lively, so I think by doing this description, actually my real thought is that the narrator is describing it in the present. So since the narrator is already in the future, it feels like that's how the city became and not actually how the city was. So I think maybe we should see how the city becomes after
Right.
and after it happens to understand more.
Yeah, definitely. But but it still remains true that the first few pages you read and then you just like, oh, doesn't sound like these people are having a good life. But then, think about our own kind of cities where, are people, having a great life? I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought like when I read it, I didn't really think they're having a good life, but I also didn't have negative way of like they're having a horrible life.
Right.
Because it seems like a lot of people like they all know each other in terms of like relationality, so they have to like have been there for a while, at least several years. And if you're not fleeing to like leave, then it cannot be that like awful for most people. Like I think if there's like a pretty exodus of like they probably mention like 20% of the city constantly leaves it. It's like really bad, but like it seems like everyone's just like kind of content. So I feel like I just see your point that it could show like the contentness that they have with like a type of monotony could be considered a sickness. I definitely agree, but I wonder if it's like really our bad sickness or like our like neutral sickness. Like I think that neutrality might sometimes be a little worse because it's like if it's bad you'll kind of shift over to like where it is neutral, but if you stay in neutral too long you kind of don't even know it's quite bad. I don't know.
Right. Yeah. I mean, so do you want to respond?
It's so hard.
It's so hard. It's so hard. Okay. So the point is, of course, at the end of the day, we can very easily say, oh, their life seems not that different from our life, which means human life is just like that. We can easily conclude that way. But then we're not giving enough credit to the text. The text wants to highlight a particular aspect of this modern life. So our job is to articulate that particular aspect that the text wants to highlight or critique, perhaps. But as you will discover, overall, the narrator, who we do not know yet, he's always going to be, or I should say they, but it's unlikely it's gonna be a woman. You already feel that. So he is going to be always, the primary attitude towards humanity is compassion. It's very compassionate. So even when he criticizes like this, in the end he's going to, you're gonna find out that he's not actually being harsh or judgmental. You can critique without being judgmental. That's precisely what's happening with this narrator. Okay, so I guess I will let you go back to this. Thank you. Okay, so I think just to get to know each other, you can talk a little bit, maybe like 20 minutes, and then because it's a long novel and we have a chance to go a little bit slowly, because with the first one we have to be very fast. So I will make you sit in groups and talk about, because as I said, you always need to come up with at least 2 ideas from the reading. And people who haven't been participating, please, maybe this will kind of help you feel more relaxed about it, talking to your neighbors a little bit. So can we sit like 4 or 5 people together, just freely, 4 groups.
Hi guys. Let's just introduce ourselves. My name is Javlon. It's probably not
Yeah, so
that easy.
I will give you about 20 minutes, and then when I come back, I expect to hear what brilliant ideas you were able to discover together. Okay?
Maybe you can turn this sideways so we can see it closer.
I thought you were gonna walk over.
Huh?
I thought you were gonna
So,
My name is Javlon. I'm from Uzbekistan. I'm majoring in econ. Nice to meet you guys. I'm sophomore.
My name is, let's just say that my name is Kevin, and I'm JCL major, and I'm from Korea.
so my name is Minh. I'm from Vietnam. I'm also economics.
My name is Jen, and I'm majoring in geology.
Okay.
I'm Alex, and I'm also majoring in economics, and I'm from South Korea.
Also economics.
Yes, I'm majoring in economics.
Are you in UIC though?
Oh, sure.
Okay. Okay, nice to meet you guys. So now we'll have to.
Second year, first semester.
No, I'm senior.
Senior.
Yeah.
So last year?
Huh?
So
Yeah,
last year?
it's my last year.
Are you 2003?
Huh?
Are you 2003?
2003.
Like when were you born?
Oh. Should I answer it?
It's okay.
You have to.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's 1999.
Okay.
1999.
Okay, so we'll have to talk about the book. Like specifically the beginning part. Okay.
So we have to come up with 2 ideas, each person.
I don't know if we have to come up with 2 ideas per each person. She just wants to know what we discussed.
Oh,
Did you guys come 2 ideas?
But there was a mixture of Chinese personality, like who was that? The guy who was suffering from the word choices. Yeah,
Grant.
like,
Grant.
yeah. I think
Who?
Grant.
Okay.
So
like
yeah, the guy that helped the guy that suicide. The commit suicide.
Okay.
He was
okay.
extremely cautious when it comes to articulate his thoughts, so I think it was kind of links to the stranger.
Wait. What was his name again? The guy who committed suicide.
Grand.
GRA.
I call him Grand.
That's like Grand Jacob or something. Was it Jacob?
No.
He was Kotar.
Like he's like
Cotard.
Grand
Oh,
something.
Kotar.
Yeah.
Kotar.
Grand helped him.
Joseph Grant.
Ah, Joseph.
Yeah,
Yeah, Joseph.
found him.
Kotar. So the Kotar committed to suicide himself, and who's Joseph?
Joseph Grant is the guy that found him, or at least said, "Hey, doctor,
There's the talk.
I think the Kotar is key character of this part because I think we already discussed during the discussion session, but maybe the Kotar seems a bit different from the other characters. Maybe then I think the Kotar shows the social irony. Irony is it correct word?
Yeah. But what irony?
Everyone is suffering from the clan and the past, but we could see that the culture is actually enjoying the situation, isn't it?
He's enjoying the situation.
Really, why would you say that?
Oh, I mean,
I don't know. Because
he's right.
Yeah.
He's right.
After the plague started, he becomes much more like, let's say, extrovert.
yeah, he became
He
a
becomes
kind
richer
guy.
also.
Yeah, so I could see that some fortune and someone suffer could be unhappiness for the others.
Yeah, but then I think, if I remember correctly, he got very mad when somebody mentioned, was it like Algerians? Murdering? No.
Yeah, murdering an Algerian.
Yeah, something like that. Like,
So I'm pretty sure he killed that Algerian, to be honest. Did you?
No, I didn't read
I actually don't know what Algerians. So this is a question that I have. So, like, if you saw, let's say, one of these people, one of the characters in the books, next to an Algerian, would you be able to tell these people apart? Does that make sense? Because I don't know to what extent
They are
like,
Algerian, right?
Bro, like all of them are Algerian, but they're like either Arab or French.
So, like, if you saw like an Algerian next to a Frenchman, would you be able to clearly tell them apart?
Bro, Algeria is a country, like there are no Algerian people. There are like either French or Arab people.
So we meet Arab-looking people.
Yeah, you can tell Arab-looking people like next to French person, right?
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, to an extent, I guess.
Yeah, because like Arabs have like those thick eyebrows and
Do
like.
you know who Zidane is?
Yeah, I know
Yeah,
that.
he's Algerian too, but I find it very difficult to tell him apart from average French people. Do you get what I'm saying?
He's
Yeah.
Algerian?
Yeah.
Because like he also has like those
Maybe
thick
he has
eyebrows, you
Spanish
know?
blood.
Anyway, that's just a tangent.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, there's like, I think we'd already talked about this, but there's clearly some kind of mystery when it comes to this character.
And I think like the most unfortunate character in this case will be like the Rambert, because like he's not like originally from that place, but like he somehow occurred in that place. And first of all, like I think it doesn't start very well for him because like he traveled all that way just to get some answers from the doctor, but he got rejected. Like he wanted to ask about like some sanitary stuff, like about like Arab world, but doctor like declined to answer because like the press itself is not very transparent, so they changed the truth somehow. So he traveled all that way and got rejected, and on top of that now he's like trapped on the quarantine. So I think in the later on it's shown how he tries to escape and that he has a wife outside that is waiting for him. So that is just what caught my attention.
so do you remember this guy from Paris, right? Am I correct to remember?
Yes.
I got wrong answer on today's quiz.
Honestly, I didn't understand like the second name at all, like Taro.
Well, I don't even the first guy at all.
I thought the Taro is kind of
The
journalist.
Yeah,
right.
he is journalist.
I get that, but
He
I
went
can't
there and
remember.
wrote
Please
some
remember.
diaries and stuff.
Oh,
It's like I knew the character, but like I read it like as Temu, and I'm like, who is Temu?
Temu,
Like who's Temu? Yeah, like
It's problem handwriting.
Investing the case
Yeah.
objectively, but I thought the answer Professor wanted was like he was being conservative. So yeah,
So you answered tarot?
only accounts there correctly.
Only tarot correctly.
I couldn't distinguish them, so I just they are journalists. I couldn't distinguish them.
That's smart. That's
Maybe like gender neutral
Sure.
something.
And what do you guys think about the main character, like the doctor?
Dr. Ryu, right?
Ryu, yeah.
Ryu.
I think he just cares about saving as many people as possible. Like the last part of part one, the government is trying to conceal the fact that it's officially a plague now.
Yeah.
But Dr. Ryu insists that they must carry out the protocols and like isolation? The isolation protocols and stuff. So I think he really cares about saving other people and do his work, regardless of like the government losing face or being humiliated or stuff like that.
Did you guys finish the novel? I mean,
Only the first place.
I could see the wife of the Ryu. Did you guys remember her?
Yeah, she got shipped away to another hospital.
Yeah. Does she have any other role after the part one? I'm just curious.
I think maybe.
Because as you just said, the Orang is isolated now because of the protocol of the isolation, and the government announced the plague is passed, so the city is isolated now. But doctor's wife is out of the Orang, right? So I'm just curious what will be happen because of the relationship between the doctor and the wife.
I think that's something like this city's relationship with the outside world is something that's gonna.
I think the wife will be the key between the Orang and the outside of the city later.
And in that sense, I think that's one of the key differences between COVID and this book. I think because COVID was a global pandemic. Every single person on the planet went through it. Almost every single person. But in this book, it's just one city. So like,
That's a good point.
So I thought that to an extent, it relates to what our speaker said. But I think Oran itself is. I think the Camus wants us to treat Oran itself as like a character, maybe. You know?
Orang
Yeah.
is a character.
Yeah, like not just a place, but like an actual character that has a role in the book. Yeah, so I think that's a big difference between COVID and this.
And I really found interesting like how doctor keeps mentioning to his wife that like after she comes back they're gonna start a new life, like everything from the start, and it's gonna be like very good, like everything is gonna be very happy, and it's like complete opposite of it, like. And I feel like in the beginning kind of like wife was sick and she was kind of like the only one like with gloomy lifestyle, right? And now like in a sense like everyone else joined her. So it's like not necessarily much is changing for the wife, but everyone else is entering the like life of the world in which the wife has been living, you know? So I think, do you guys think like the main character will die at that, like just like in The Stranger, like will he die like out of plague or something like
The main character?
Yeah, the doctor. Will he die or?
Maybe. But I think he will live. But I think if the mom dies, then that would be a really important part of the story.
It's gonna be a villain.
Yeah, but so far after the first entry of the mom to the story, there's been no mentions of her anymore. Like she just said, oh, there are brats dying, but you have to, life goes on. Well, like they didn't mention her again anymore. So I hope that she will continue to play an important role in the book.
That's a good one.
Like she said, oh, there are rats, but life is still life. Now I'm here, so we gotta stay together.
Sure.
What did you guys think?
Did you guys realize that he kind of describes his wife as like young and how tender she is? And
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was kind of mesmerized because like when he talks to the journalist, like Kanbe, it feels like being how do I say? What was he? Being optimistic, pessimistic. So he's being pessimistic, but when it comes to his wife, he's describing her as like my beauty, my girl, and like oh everything's gonna be okay. And that, so I was questioning why did he behave like that.
I feel like Camus himself was kind of like a romantic because like even in the previous book, like even though like the character doesn't know that he's in love, but like he's really in love because like they describe like everything in detail that like he misses her smile or something. So I think like even in real life he always describes like love relationship like to be like something like very close. But also like he tries to give like kind of like sad ending to it. Like last time they were not together, so probably I feel like something will happen again this time. Like either wife dies or he himself dies. So yeah.
Why are you guys talking about the dying of mom or wife? Let's see part 2.
See part 2.
Who will be the presenter next week?
Oh, you will be the presenter next week?
Yeah.
I think you too. Which number are you?
I don't remember.
Please do not give me a difficult question. I can answer.
What's your number?
I was 8, but it was in the makeup session after the Chuseok holiday.
After the Chuseok?
Yeah, but I
Is
will
it
not.
before the Chuseok?
Oh, was it before? I'm not sure, but I will not be attending the makeup class, so I asked Miss Astrid to just rearrange my order.
Is there a reason why you can't attend the makeup class?
Oh,
What's the reason you can't?
oh, I got class on Friday.
Oh, okay, same. Yeah. See, I really have difficulty understanding why she chose Friday. These people go to school on Friday. Yeah, like
Friday is still school day.
yeah. I mean, it's not like nobody goes to school on Friday.
I think she thought that many students try to make
yeah.
no classes on Friday.
Gonggan.
Yes, 공강.
What do you guys think about the questions being asked, like to the presenters? I feel like I don't understand like most of it, and like I feel so stupid. Like, do you guys feel the same, or like is anyone else like understanding like everything? Because like the questions are very abstract, and like it's as if they are trying to expect like certain answer to something that is like very subjective, but they're like kind of expecting like objective answer type of thing. Do you guys feel the same, or like am I kind of no?
Honestly, I didn't even get the question itself, so.
Yeah, it's like it starts as a question but ends up being a statement most of the times.
Yeah.
I could understand why she made that question, because I'm gonna make the same thing next week. Because did you guys how many times did you spend reading this text per week?
I think this one is longer and harder to read than the previous one. For the first part, I spent maybe 2-3 hours, probably 3 hours. It's really hard to read.
Did you guys actually read the book or asking GPT?
I read the book.
Good.
Did you guys read the book?
I don't think. Yeah, it's
I don't-
difficult to
yeah,
answer her questions. If you
To be
don't.
honest, yeah, it's really hard to
So
understand.
you have not read the book?
Oh, first I read the book.
Oh yeah. I don't think GPT is an option. To
Well, because in Eastern civilization, we always use ChatGPT to read. But this one, I think, is impossible to understand without reading.
You mean the questions the presenter brought today?
Like, I mean, just the text in general.
That's in general.
It's very hard to understand. But the midterm exam is going to be
Do we have
take-home exam.
Do we have midterm exam for this course? I saw like we got the individual oral examination with the professor at the end of the semester.
Really?
Yeah.
I got an essay test in this classroom.
No.
Because I
Really?
remember
In class of We are cool.
Why did you guys choose this course? Is there any specific reason? In my case, only for graduation.
I have to retake it.
Oh, retake it.
Oh, what did you get last time?
Yeah, who was the?
I begged for F. There's no other class.
Who was the professor?
She's the only professor for this class.
So you took her last semester.
Maybe like it was 2022.
2022.
Yeah.
Was she harsh on the essays and stuff?
I got the least grade for the midterm essay, and I just.
Is it because like you didn't prepare, or you prepared but it was still hard?
I didn't really study for it, so like I missed the whole point, and she was like, "Nah, that's not the point." Gave me C0.
Wait, this one is CC course, right? Is it?
Yes.
Is it?
Yeah.
Can you retake CC course?
No.
I've got F.
Yeah, if you get an F, you can. Oh, only if you get an F.
Only
That's correct.
Damn, bro, I might.
I asked, but she didn't read my email, so I just disappeared for the whole
For
semester.
entire
Yeah.
course.
I successfully got F grade.
Successfully got an F.
Honestly, like it seems like even if I read everything, like I still cannot like get everything and everything. I have to like reread it like at least twice.
That's true.
So it's very hard.
I'm not good at overthinking in a philosophical term.
I chose this course because it's the only world literature in Sinchon,
I'm not reading literature in Korean, even in Korean.
even in Korea.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But I'm
Maybe
reading
we should have
literature.
taken like philosophy, bro.
Maybe we should have taken philosophy.
Did you guys take philosophy class or history?
History.
Like there was a word philosophy, word history, and the word literature.
We took what history together?
History.
Requirement. I think we have the same class. What history requirement?
I took world history last semester.
By who?
I think his late name was Professor Porter.
No, so we took the same class.
Yeah, really?
Yeah, requirement.
Yeah, because I remember him as well.
Yeah, bro, I remember you in the class.
Really? I don't remember anything from that class. Because that was Monday? Like Monday and Wednesday, right?
Then it's
Yeah.
different.
Really? Because my class was on Monday and Wednesday, and it was in the morning. So I don't remember.
Requirement?
Yeah. So I don't. It was like the search for modern China, and
More in China.
Our
Okay,
class
so-
was Korean.
I don't remember anything about that class.
Okay.
But why do we know him though?
Did we meet before?
My guess is you two are both in the macroeconomics class after this.
Oh, okay, yeah.
You're in the
You guys-
macroeconomics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the city.
Yeah.
Hey, are you guys
The one
class
that-
of Tuesday? Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, I just curious. So are you guys
24.5?
class of 2026 or 7?
28.
28.
Yeah.
Oh.
2028.
Yeah. Well, graduated in
Ah,
2028.
yeah,
huh?
yeah.
Two.
Yeah, we're from the same semester.
The macroeconomics class, I have no idea what it says.
He's terrible.
I actually, like, this is the first time I've ever taken a lecture where I actually do not know what the professor says.
Yeah, I don't understand anything. Like, he repeats the same word 6 times.
Who was the
He re-
professor?
Okay, absolutely. He repeats the same exact word 6 times. Every word. Like,
And half of the things that he says has absolutely nothing to do with the
yeah,
core topic.
like philosophical stuff.
I mean, it's like, oh, everybody, we have to be happy. It's like,
Yeah. He talks about being happy so much, like Koshi, Kim Seok-ho. No, you
I
did
got
not.
C plus from this
No, you got C plus.
fundamental economic analysis, and I got C plus, and I'm not gonna take it 'cause
It's
again,
the one in Songdo, right?
he's being extremely political, and like he's preaching about how the ex-government was
Are we having the same professor? Because our professor is not understandable. Kim Seok-ho.
he should be expelled from this.
I just hope that none of the weird things that he says
Appears in the exam.
Yeah, that's my only hope. I hope
The
that
question is like, how many 90?
I know, yeah. Sampo Kim. I know it.
The one fucking funny thing about the class was that he always turn on the microphone before he enters the room, and like he always rushes, so we can hear.
Yeah. No, he does that. But like he's tripping over and stuff.
Yes.
Crazy. Music class, but you learn in Korean or English?
No.
You study him in Korean or English?
English. Like I don't believe that he speaks English. Like
Yeah, he doesn't.
it's like
He doesn't.
Do you think he teaches any better like in Korean or like? Because like he published some articles and stuff, so he must be kind of smart now. But
I
like,
don't think he's that smart.
Okay, so let's talk about it together.
I'm sorry, bro. What was your name?
Alex,
Alex.
what was your name again?
Javlon.
Jalong.
Yeah.
Alex, Jin.
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 G-I-N.
Jean.
So one thing that I want to say is that people come in after the quiz. There's a that I may check an accent. So it's your responsibility to come up to me and let me know that you came in after the quiz. Before quiz is by attendance. But Victor, I know you came in, so you're fine today. But yeah, for Victor, if you come in later, please let me know. And also in terms of the quiz answers, if your answers are kind of correct in the context of the entire book, but it's not in the section that you're supposed to read, then I cannot really mark it as correct, because that means it's very possible that you just read some summary somewhere. So I'm going to have to be strict on this point, just that's for your information. Okay, so in terms of actually Jiyoon and Sungjun, I just noticed that if you want, you can present. You can take the place of presenter 13. That would be, I think, in any case, it's not going to be next week. Would you prefer that?
Yeah.
Okay, so 13. So go check the schedule. I do not know which day it is,
Okay.
but it's definitely not next week. And you can take 21. Okay. Yeah. So nobody has to present in their place, which means you can do it as you volunteered, or you can go back to your number.
I'll do it as well.
Okay, great, thank you. Yeah. So now to the text. What I want to, well, before I say anything, what did you discover? Tell me what interesting points.
We talked about Claude, the relation that we. Wait, sorry. I need to formulate the thought. We talked about if Claude is similar to the blog that we read about in the book. We mentioned that in the first part of the class. You said that you tend to think that we cannot really relate to the characters, which I personally thought, well, when I was reading the book, I kind of did relate to the characters, but then we talked further about it, and we mentioned that we still had the access to the internet, and I think this was the biggest difference with the people that worked in the book, and also that this wave of panic that we had when we first heard about the people dying, like seeing videos from China, I think it made us be more cautious about the disease, while people here, they were more calm before the actual announcement of the beginning of the plot.
Right.
So we just talked about it, and I think we came to a conclusion that in some way we can relate to the characters, but mostly because of the technical progression and because of the change, we fully cannot understand what they felt, and they can't really understand what we felt.
Right, yeah. So, yes, that's, yeah, I think that's valid.
Something we talked about in our group was, I mean, there's reluctance even though there's clear.
Can you speak up, please? Maybe it's the thing I can't hear. Oh, it's yeah, it's yeah.
Yeah, something we talked about was I'm gonna kind of like paraphrase paraphrase it a little bit. There's a sort of reluctance, even though it's clear evidence, right, that there's some sort of plague, there's signs about it.
Right.
But we didn't really get too deep into it, so I'll just elevate it a little bit, but maybe get into the role of language and how, like language, it changes in reality and negotiate, before we admit to something in public, we negotiate the evidence first before we start admitting.
Right, yeah. So negotiating happens in this manner that you mentioned language, what word to use. That's the negotiation. So you can say, oh, there's something going on, we're not really sure, but the moment you use the word plague, uproar, this is, yeah. So much depends on what words are used, right? So this is why even when all the signs are there, the authority hesitates to actually use the word. So you have to call it, like it is. You have to name it. And there's of course a comical scene where I think it was Ryu saying we need to really call it what it is, and then Kong, the very insignificant looking character, who turns out to be pretty important because already in part 1, we see his interaction with Dr. Ryu, and he actually makes so much of this insignificant functionary, very low-level government functionary. But he asks, okay, so what is the name? This is supposed to be a very funny moment. But anyways, so yes, that's related to what we're talking about with language in relation to the stranger. Language and the body, how the language can actually manipulate your body's experience. It kind of domesticate how the body experiences the world. But then and then we become kind of, in a sense, I mean, this is part of what I was actually saying in relation to the word productive. It kind of sounds good, but then it also does its own things that we may not find very positive. So this is just an occasion to reflect on some of these, words that we take for granted in our culture, right? What's interesting, maybe this is where our experience of COVID-19 is a bit different from what the people of Wuhan are experiencing with the plague. So if you go to page 28, if you have the book, so this is where Tapu's interaction with the folks in the city of Wuhan, where so this is the manager of the hotel. He's obsessed over this, and then he takes it as a kind of personal, a form of personal offense because he cannot allow, dead rats showing up on, the property that he's in charge of. So Tapu, to console him, to make him feel better, he said, but everybody's in the same boat. And what does the manager says is, that's just it. Now we're like everybody else. What does that mean?
I mean, probably they have some kind of prestige
Yeah,
for other people.
yeah.
I think maybe their lifestyle as described is on purpose. So they're living like this just to be different from the others.
Mm-hmm.
So having to maybe change their habits, they're scared of losing this uniqueness.
Mm. Uniqueness in what sense?
In the sense where they're trying to live their life, maybe that's just the way the city is described is just particular to the city, and other cities in the same country are more lively or more known for food and having fun. So maybe they're trying to be different from the other cities. So that's why they don't want to lose that difference.
I'm not sure because I cannot, immediately think of places in the text that would actually support that. But that's an interesting thought. But one thing we can at a very basic level, we can say that I say this only because it is related to the last book of the semester, which is also by Camus, where this idea will come back. This is why I'm mentioning this, although here it's kind of a very minor point. But this idea that somehow people feel that they're happy or they're doing well or whatever, only in relation to people who seem to be worse off. In other words, it seems like people cannot point at their own happiness. They can only point at other people not happy. So indirectly they feel happy because they're doing better than those people. Which makes us look really bad, to be honest. We can't handle real happiness. We don't know what real happiness. We only know the comparison, kind of. At least I am not that level of happiness, which is really not happiness. It's almost not very human, right? So that's kind of indicated here, So even though he's just a manager, but he's a manager of a hotel, I don't know how great this hotel is, but perhaps in the background, what the text is actually not saying, but perhaps people who are familiar with this context, this, the colonial context, maybe they sense this as well. It's, in a way, they're saying, okay, the French are the same as the Arabs now. Because the disease doesn't differentiate. The disease it's whoever. So in a way, it kind of binds the community together in a way that never happened. That's the strange irony of this natural disaster. Natural disaster doesn't care what your race is, what language you speak, right? Although in the beginning, people turn, even generally nice people turn suddenly very racist or whatever because they want to protect themselves, so they push out all the outsiders. So these crises are the moments when you can actually test your humanity. You can really discover what stuff you're made of. So that's really a part of what's happening here. Are these people, what they think they are? Now, so in terms of Thieu's own kind of assessment of this situation, if you go to page 37. The first paragraph, there have been as many plagues as wars in history, yet always plagues and wars take people equally by surprise. So, yeah, this is really amazing if you think about it. Where every time there's something there's something massive, we act as if this cannot be. This is exactly the reaction of the people of Wuhan. They're like, this can't be. There must be some kind of mistake. Now, how did we define the absurd? I used another word to describe what absurd means. What was the word? Last couple of sessions. What was another word that I used as a synonym of absurd? Yeah, I used the word contingent. So, in other words, contingent really means, it sounds very difficult, but it simply means you weren't expecting that. And there's no foundational meaning for the event. It just happened. And the plague also, of course, we're still trying to figure out, I think people have pretty much given up by now, how COVID-19 began. They did all kinds of investigation, and then nobody has an answer. It's one of those cases where you just have to accept it just happened. Because even when you can clarify the reason, it still doesn't make it any less contingent. Why? Because, okay, why that factor gave rise to this disease at that point? Because even when the cause is there, it doesn't always happen. It doesn't always develop into this full-blown pandemic. But it did. So even when you identify the cause, we still need to deal with the contingency of the event. So, this acting surprise, of course, they're genuinely surprised. Yes, I'm not saying that they're performing, but every time they're surprised, as if life should just unfold according to our plans. And then when that is really the case, when everything is going according to our plans, and then we begin to do these strange things like the Czechoslovakian man. Not being surprised also makes us bored. So we start playing games with, this little surprise, and then in this very unlikely scenario, he gets murdered by his own mother and sister. So you begin to see that Camus is really playing with this, playing not in a frivolous way, but he's really making us think how we deal with contingency, our relationship with contingency. We hate it, but also we can't do without it. So it's kind of like what Meursault argues about this another method of death penalty. The guillotine is too final. Leave some surprise. The chance. Chance is, of course, synonymous here with contingency. Somehow he picked that, that liquid that doesn't have poison, so he gets to live. So this very ambiguous relationship that we have with contingency is what is philosophically kind of staged here, so we can understand this better. But Ryu, of course, so he says, in fact, like our fellow citizens, Ryu was caught off his guard, and we should understand his hesitations in the light of this fact, and similarly understand how he was torn between conflicting fears and confidence. When a war breaks out, people say it's too stupid, it can't last long. But though a war may well be too stupid, that doesn't prevent its lasting. Stupidity has a knack of getting its way, as we should see if we were not always so much wrapped up in ourselves. So what does that mean? Paraphrase it, please, someone. Stupidity has a knack of getting its way, as we should see if we were not always so much wrapped up in ourselves. What does this mean?
I think it means that from a point of view where someone is selfish and have too much confidence in their own way of thinking, something might seem stupid, but at the end they might have the stupid idea, and what they thought was stupid wasn't right.
It's related, yeah. Maybe not so much right, but it just is. So we dismiss certain facts of our reality, saying they're stupid, that they're just not possible. Something's wrong here. But they do that to put it very in our psychological kind of language, they're just defending themselves from the contingency of these events. So they're being protective of themselves by saying, oh, in other words, they want to separate reality from themselves because the reality is not to their liking. So they say that they dismiss it and they're wrapped up in themselves. They just want to be narcissistically, just self-interested, right? So, I mean, I don't have the time, so I will just leave you to read the rest of the paragraph, but, you know, but the next sentence really makes it clear that the description that he gave of Ohang at the beginning of the book, he doesn't mean that it's a particular case. He actually means that this is how we are in general. So it says, in this respect, our townsfolk were, like everybody else, wrapped up in themselves. In other words, they were humanists. They disbelieved in pestilences. A pestilence isn't a thing made to man's measure. Therefore, we tell ourselves that, so, meaning the not made to their measure means what? It doesn't suit their ideas of reality. And that is, the narrator is now giving it as really a human condition. It's not just Ohang's people, it's just how we are. So it's not to be judgmental about this, you know, natural tendencies that we all share, but he's not judging this fact or judging people for being like that, but we cannot simply leave it there either, because then we just say this is natural, so we don't need to do anything, and then we end up with all kinds of disasters. So how do you go from accepting the fact that this is actually natural, but then we have more than that. Our nature is not just that. We will also have this other nature where we want to be compassionate, do the right thing. We have that also as part of our nature. So how do you go from one to the other kind of nature is really what the book is interested in. Does that make sense? So it's not judgmental, but it also wants to show us how we can be a little bit different. So one character who's given to us as an example of this other nature, although it's more complicated than that, but anyway, there's one character who's given to us in such warmth and positive feelings, which is, who's that character? Yeah. Khan, whose name is of course a bit paradoxical, just like in English it's grand, and yet he's the most insignificant looking person. And just to, I talk about this in my lecture, so you can listen to it when you get there, but there's a long passage about him, starting from about page 44. More important, actually, I will leave you to read that when you listen to the lecture as well. But just one factor one thing that is said about him that I want to highlight is on page 43. It's actually Ryu thinking. Towards the bottom of the page. He's the kind of man who always escapes in such cases. And still thinking of Kwan, he decided that he was something of a mystery man in his small way. So mystery man is already, it sets him apart from this regular folks of Ohang who live to work, sleep, and have hobbies. But what Kang has is not really not just a hobby. You know what he, you kind of already get a sense of what he does. It's not. It's more than a hobby. So you need to kind of cling to this figure because he's a key figure, key character, who really carries the meaning of the entire text. So on that note, I will let you go. So